Batman Begins? Well, the movie began an hour ago. On this episode of Moving Panels, we discuss Batman Begins.
Welcome to Moving Panels, ignite the mic. From Gotham's alleys to galaxy's far, we dive in deep, we set the bar. Debates and takes, we bring the heat. Pull up a chair, join a seat. Moving Panels, where fandom takes flight. We review, discuss, and shed the light. Heroes, villains, every epic night. This is your show, your fandom's might.
Welcome to Moving Panels, the podcast where we discuss movies and TV shows that are based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. I'm your host, Laramy Wells, and today we are talking about Batman Begins. I know that way back in season 1, Chad and I talked about the entire Dark Knight trilogy, but we've never done the movies all by themselves. So we're going back to 2005, the movie that had the impossible task of making people take Batman seriously again, or take superhero movies seriously again. And joining me today, first off, a man who understands Gotham is rotten to the core and would absolutely talk about it if from the 80s flick flashback. It's Tim Williams.
It's time for my enemies to share my dread.
And our resident Bat fan, someone who would ask way too many questions before he joined the League of Shadows, it's Blake Fowler.
You need to know what you're getting yourself into. And for some of us, Batman never ended, so he doesn't have to begin again.
He never had to begin.
Great time.
Is it?
Yeah, because wasn't Batman forever?
He was.
Oh,
and
yeah.
still is, in case you were wondering. We have kind of forgotten about Clooney there in the middle. But I'm still, Batman Forever still on the board. But yeah, I'm excited to begin again with Batman Begins. Again. As Laramy mentioned, we get a great setup and backstory, much to the chagrin of our host here. But it's a great character development plot point.
So we are at this point close to a decade from the last Batman movie.
Yeah,
for about 8 years, 7-8 years, from the movie, the Batman and Robin movie. So did it feel like Batman? I mean, this is kind of a loaded question. Did it feel like Batman needed a reset at this point? Like, was this the right point to reset Batman?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't even hesitate.
Gavel down. I agree 100%. Yeah. The last recollection we have is of, George Clooney's nippled out bat suit. And, I think Christopher Nolan coming off of, I believe it was Memento. And then he had the movie...
The Prestige.
Yeah, Prestige. And then had a couple other independent-y films that he had done. I think he was the right guy, a bit of an auteur to take the helm at this and give it a real fully fleshed out story.
So were you excited when you heard about it?
Oh, 100%, man. I heard it was coming out. My family at the time planned a beach trip long before, but when the announcement was made, I was like, all right, we have to carve out a night at Myrtle Beach to go to the movie theaters to see this movie. And so we did. I was pumped. I was amped.
How about you, Tim?
Yeah, so, and I'll go back. I think Prestige actually came out between Batman Begins and Dark Knight, because this was the first one with Michael Caine.
Yeah.
And so I think it was Memento, then Insomnia with Al Pacino and Robin Williams.
Yep.
And I think there was one other one I can't think.
He had a really, really independent film where a guy is stalking people, and I cannot for the life of me.
I don't remember. But anyway, but I was a big fan of Memento. I saw it in the theaters when it came out. My roommate told me about it. I actually saw it twice in the theaters. So I was already a fan of Nolan, and then you add Batman to the mix. I was like, there's no way I'm going to miss this movie. It's going to, it was a different take on Batman, but I didn't mind it because it did kind of give a different perspective and a different look than what we had become so accustomed to Batman being.
Oh yeah, not the bright colors.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was a
very, very comic book look.
Yeah, there's a bit of a grounding to the character, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on. But there's a lot less high-tech gadgetry, even though there is still some.
There's
still some
high-tech gadgetry.
but it's a little more grounded in some
Yes.
realistic principles than, let's say, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, that kind of thing.
Yeah. He doesn't have the bat card, so
I don't know how he pays for anything in this movie, but
this is true. Okay, so for people who may have lived under a rock, let's just give through some of the information. So Batman Begins was released June 15th of 2005, directed by Christopher Nolan, with a screenplay also written by Nolan, as well as David S. Goyer, who has written several comic book movies, including the Blade movies, so he had done it before. The film stars Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Liam Neeson. I'm going to throw him in. Ken Watanabe. Cillian Murphy, Gary Oldman, Morgan Freeman, Katie Holmes, and Tom Wilkinson. And this was definitely a course correction for, I would say, not only the Batman movies, but superhero movies in general for the most part. We did have Blade already at this point, and we did have the X-Men movies. The X-Men movies, though, I still feel they still held that kind of cartoonish quality to them.
Oh, for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So this was, as Blake just talked about, and Tim just talked about, the more grounded. Of course, the word always came out with the movies at this point, more gritty look to them. So did this feel like a serious movie first and then a superhero movie second?
Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, I say I'll kind of jump in here. So in all sincerity and being as genuine as possibly can, this is legit a character study, I think, of how someone could realistically evolve into taking on this role. Like, these are the things that have happened to this character. This is what it would take to get there, both physically, mentally, emotionally. And so I don't know. You're going to have a hard time having me talk poorly about this movie. It is probably my favorite Batman movie.
I'm not asking you to talk poorly about it.
I understand that. But what I'm saying is, like, I don't know that I can even get anything other than gushing about the film. I think it's so well done that I don't know. It's I don't know how I've lost the words for it at this point.
Yeah. So I'll ask you, Tim. Again, we're looking at this from like a film analysis. The story element itself. Does it feel more like Christopher Nolan came in and looked at this movie as, kind of like Blake is saying, as a character film, as a serious, dramatic film with some action in it? Or did Christopher Nolan come in and say, I'm making a superhero movie? Like, what do you think came first and what do you think came second?
Yeah, it's tough to say because I think it does a good job of being a good mix of both. Which one started first, I don't know if it was like, they said, hey, we want you to do a Batman movie. It's like, well, I want to do it my way, and I want it more grounded in reality than just being your typical superhero movie. Did he already have an idea of what that meant? Did he already have the seed of an idea of this type of movie? And then it's like, well, Batman will fit into this story that I have.
Yeah,
already.
And that's what I was looking for.
Agree.
Because I really think that if you take the Batman elements out of this movie, the costume, the way he does some things, could this not be on the same level as movies like John Wick, as movies like Taken?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
In which you have the main hero getting his quote unquote vengeance.
Yeah.
I think
it's still, go ahead.
No, I think Christopher Nolan cares about telling a good story. And how whatever vehicle, no pun intended, he needs to use to get there, he will.
Yeah. And it's still a hero's journey story. It's still an origin story. So it's ripe for that, giving a backstory that feels worthy of the character that we already know. Even if, like you said, even if we've seen the Wayne parents, die on every,
You haven't seen them die this way.
That doesn't change. But at least it doesn't happen in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
No. just like the first 10.
It wasn't that early.
You know, it's my favorite thing of every Batman movie is the death of the
I bet
Waynes.
you love Ben Parker passing away, don't you? Just every time.
But we don't see Uncle Ben die in all of the movies. I mean, we didn't even get an Uncle Ben in the newer Spider-Man movies.
Yep.
So
he was already dead.
Yeah. No, we got him in that piece of crap Madam Web movie. That's where.
Hold on, you guys are watching Madam Web? Like that's.
I did.
Okay,
I did.
That's for another. That's for another time.
Oh, we will cover that movie at some point. I keep trying to. I actually have it like in my save for later cart on Amazon, and I'm just watching the price. And I think at one point it went down to like $13.
No,
Got
to be at least 4.
And I was like, should I get it for 13? And I was like, nope, 13's still too much.
Too much.
Right.
Way too much.
All right. Well, before we get into further, let's go ahead and break down the comic book connections.
Step into the panels, heroes in action. Flip through the pages for your satisfaction. Feel the thrill and join a collection. It's the comic book connection.
This movie draws heavily from Batman Year One by Frank Miller and Dave Mazzucchelli, especially in its portrayal of Gotham as systematically corrupt and Batman as an emerging force rather than an instant icon. It also pulls a little from The Man Who Falls by Dennis O'Neil, which focuses on Bruce Wayne traveling the world and learning from many disciplines before returning to Gotham. The League of Shadows is adapted from the League of Assassins, which was created by Dennis O'Neil. And Ra's al Ghul's philosophy that civilizations decay and it must be purged is extremely faithful to the comics, even if the movie strips away the Lazarus Pit and the mysticism of the character. Let me ask you, Blake, what did you think of the League of Assassins becoming the League of Shadows?
I think it certainly fits with the theme of Christopher Nolan taking something that is very comic booky and making it, again, we're going to keep saying, a little more grounded. Do I love the Lazarus Pit and the stories it allows comic books and the animated series to tell? For sure. But it didn't fit here in this. And I think the League of Shadows taking on this role of not necessarily assassins per se, as you would think of assassins, it lends itself to a little better storytelling.
Do you think that removing the supernatural elements makes Ra's al Ghul a stronger character, or a weaker character? Do you think it had any effect at all?
I think it certainly makes him a stronger character because he is built now to rely more on practical deception. As we saw in the movie where, we first think Ra's al Ghul is, someone that he actually ends up not being. You have this decoy Ra's al Ghul, and you also have a little bit of the mysticism with the flower that they grind up to cause the hallucinations that plays a big part later on. So there's just enough to give you a taste of that comic book feel while keeping it as realistic as possible.
So, Tim, question for you, since you're not as big of a comic book guy. When you originally saw this movie, was the reveal that Liam Neeson was actually Ra's al Ghul a surprise?
Yes, it was for me.
Because the fact that they got Ken Watanabe to be the... I mean, you look it up, he's credited as Ra's al Ghul.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, all leading up to that, like all the IMDb stuff and little snippets of magazines.
If you look it up on IMDb.
Would say. And so, that was a good little pull of the rug.
Yeah. Did it work for you as well, Blake?
I snooped around too many chat boards and found out I knew what was coming. But
did it not also help that Liam Neeson, like, he had the Ra's al Ghul facial hair?
100%. I mean, if you're going to try and do that, maybe not do the exact facial hair right at the beginning of the movie. But it still works. It's still super effective, especially in context of the movie.
I will say it probably got me a little at the beginning, although at the time I was like, there's something up with Liam Neeson.
you
I don't think I quite put together he was Roz.
You don't cast Liam Neeson to have him play a secondary villain, like it's just...
Yeah. So, but yeah, you go back and watch it and you're just like, they made him look exactly like the character, the comic book character. How do you not pick up on the fact that he's actually Ra's al Ghul? Yeah. I don't want to get into kind of the main cast because we've talked about them in previous episodes. We did a whole Batman
bracket busting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about that. I want to talk about some of the kind of more characters that you don't see or you didn't see. Let me say it that way. You didn't see a lot in the Batman movies until now. Let's talk about Carmine Falcone.
Oh, never mind. Mm-hmm. I thought we were going to go with the girls in the hotel pool. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
My fault. I was ready. And now Carmine Falcone.
By the way, how does he pay the waiter or the maitre d' and say that
I'm buying the hotel?
Like we were not established who that dude was.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he was the manager, like how does he all of a sudden just say, like, I'm buying this hotel with this check I'm stuffing into your pocket? No, that's not how that works, Bruce. I'm sorry.
Also, suspension of disbelief. How cool is that, though? Doesn't everybody just want to be like, I'm just buying this place?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that everyone's fantasy to have enough money? Just be like, I'm taking whatever I want, whenever I want it. Like, it's a super Bruce Wayne mask move. Like, it's the mask of Bruce Wayne hiding Batman behind it. And, like, that's what Bruce Wayne would do. So that in itself is like a cool scene to me, just because of how it portrays him playing the part of Bruce Wayne.
And this is, once again, too much logic. How much money do you have that you buy a hotel that you basically tell this man, I'm going to run it into the ground because I'm going to let it be a place of anarchy where rules don't matter anymore? And so I was just like...
He's only changing the rules about the pool.
Yeah, everything else stays, okay? Just anyone can get in the hotel lobby.
this little bathtub size pool.
Was it a fish tank?
Yeah, ish. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. I've bird walked us and completely different thing.
No, you're fine.
Carmine Falcone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, because, and I like that they included Carmine Falcone because he's, for a non-super villain, he's a very influential character in Batman, especially, like I said, in the comic book connection with Batman Year One, because he represents essentially like old Gotham.
Yeah.
Like it's the organized crime that has made Gotham what it is. And he's not the super villain. He's not flashy. He's not, doing these crazy things. He's just a mobster. Yeah. So I like the fact that they included him and that the movie kept him what he was. He's not, again, this over-the-top villain. He's the one that controls everything. And there's no way for Batman to defeat him like he would defeat another villain, with his fists or with gadgets or whatnot. He instead... has to find a way to ascend. It's the Al Capone thing, the Untouchables. Like, you got to find some way to get to him. And so I love that they brought him in and essentially made him such an important character. Of course, you then find out that he is working for Ra's al Ghul.
Well,
but
I was like, in two, Tom Wilkinson, fabulous as always, a phenomenal actor. But if you'll recall, young Bruce goes down, into the belly of Gotham and walks into this bar with Carmine and has a gun. He's ready to shoot him, and Carmine teaches young Bruce Wayne what it is and what it does to make people fearful. He says, all these people are sitting here, so I could pull this gun out, I could shoot you, and nobody would bat an eyelash because they fear me, they're afraid of me. And Bruce later goes on to use that tactic on his enemies. Like, he then takes fear and uses it to his advantage. And I think whether subliminally or subconsciously, like, he gets that from that moment.
Yeah.
Oh, 100% agree. And you talked about using the moment against you. That was one of my favorite things about this movie is the callbacks where the villain gets their receipt, as I like to say it,
comeuppance.
Yeah.
But it's always bringing something back, and my favorite is Lucius Fox.
Of course, I was gonna say,
you didn't get the memo.
Didn't get the memo.
Yeah, love it. I just absolutely love it. So this will be more a question for Tim. Let's go to Lucius Fox. Were you familiar with that character prior to this movie?
Not at all.
And Blake, I assume you were though, right?
Yes. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, because Lucius Fox was actually created, was it the 70s? I didn't actually write this down.
It was later on. I thought maybe it was the 80s, but it could have been the 70s.
No, it was. I do know it was Denny O'Neil, so it was at least the 80s, possibly the 70s, where he again became kind of the Wayne Enterprise connection that Bruce had.
He's like the Jarvis of Batman's, where like he gets him what he needs ish. Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that I'm a little older than you because I was going to say he was the Q.
Oh, Q. Yeah, Q works. Yeah, also.
Yeah. And of course, post-crisis, he kind of becomes a little bit more cemented in the comics than he was.
His son, his son eventually becomes Batman, for those that are reading the comics. Lucius Fox's son does end up being Batman, so cool little tie-in there.
Yes. So yeah, I love, though, that he's essentially... Man, how wonderful is it that we've got Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman playing essentially the mentors to Batman?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. There could be two better, both in actuality and in character form.
Wait.
Play those
You left out one. Gary Oldman.
Well, yes.
All three of them.
Yeah. This
are really mentoring him.
A verifiable, just like cast of all-star sluggers in this.
Oh yeah.
Can I just like just to make sure to drive that point home?
Yeah, and Katie Holmes.
Yep. And also,
yeah.
Don't you mean Maggie Gyllenhaal, Laramy? Sorry, that happens later.
No,
that happens later
That's
on.
the next movie.
Yeah.
But do you like? How much did you like that Lucius knows what Bruce is doing, but he doesn't want to know what Bruce is doing?
Underwater cave spelunking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, I appreciate you're not telling me so that I don't have to lie.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the line that I love. I was like, yep, as long as you don't tell me, I won't have to lie. Yeah. So just keep doing what you're doing, and I'll make sure that you have what you need.
But I think there was so much respect and trust built up with Thomas Wayne from Lucius Fox that he was going to do whatever Bruce Wayne asked him, because he knew the altruistic reasoning behind it, even if he didn't understand what was happening exactly.
Well, then also, what does he have to lose? He's been put in the basement, the dead end job, as he says. Like, I made too much noise on the board, so you want to go against the board, do something?
Yeah.
Please be my guest. I will gladly help you, because I'm just waiting for my retirement check at this point anyway. So
yeah, they've got him down there, and they took his red stapler. They took his red stapler.
But he's get busy living or get busy dying.
Hey, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, you brought up Thomas Wayne. I want to talk about Thomas Wayne. Is this not the best portrayal of a live action Thomas Wayne?
So good.
Yeah, I think so. It was the first. For me, it was the first Thomas Wayne that I cared about, not just being Bruce Wayne's father, but like a character that I actually cared about before seeing him get murdered in the alley.
I'd be interested what Blake has to say here. I will go
with
one
the pearls
step further
falling to the ground.
I will go one step further and say this is the first Thomas Wayne I've cared about, period.
Yeah.
Like comic form or live action.
Yeah, it's amazing what Christopher Nolan can do with a character in such little time. Like, he fleshed out everything you need to know about Thomas Wayne, about where he stands, what he stands
in
for,
like 10
who he
minutes.
cares about, in 10 minutes. Yeah.
And not a straight 10
not
minutes.
A linear,
like
not a linear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the fact of, and again, it's a movie. I realize this is fictional. We all know that, no matter how wrapped up in it we get. But the aspect of, my kid is uncomfortable. I don't care how much I paid for these seats. Like, we're going to get up and we're going to go because he's uncomfortable. Like,
man,
that's a
wink
dad
that he gives Bruce
as
he's putting the coat on Martha. Like that is just there's so, and even the scenes that don't feature him, like the moments where Falcone is talking about Thomas, or when Ra's al Ghul is talking about Thomas, like the character development you get of this world's Thomas Wayne just makes him the best Thomas Wayne that has ever been produced.
Agreed.
As much as I even love when they've brought Thomas Wayne in the animated versions, you know, when Bruce has gone through either a time jump or he's gone into another dimension, and they've had other versions of Thomas. Flashpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the note that he leaves for Bruce at the end of
really
Flashpoint, but Thomas Wayne himself is still such a hard, rough character. Like you don't have that compassionate aspect that you get out of this Thomas Wayne.
Right.
And I think that's a great aspect for Bruce as a character, to know that he was loved like this. And the fact that Michael Caine even brings that up. You know, this is the last remaining thing. Your name is the last remaining thing of your father. I love the portrayal of, as much as I hate watching the deaths of the Waynes in every Batman movie. I loved the portrayal of Thomas Wayne in this. What were your thoughts, just to throw this character out there, and then we can move on? What were your thoughts of bringing in a completely made up character in Rachel Dawes?
I think it worked for the movie. I think you you already had Vicky Vale in what, Batman
89.
Yeah, 89. Yeah, the original. I was trying to think of the year. 89. And you've had some other love interests throughout the other Batman movies that are comic book characters. So I think you had to have someone come in, and I think if you're going to do that, again, the right person to do it's Christopher Nolan, to flesh this character out and to give them some history that makes their relationship matter. That lets you have some buy-in with, will they, want they, you hope they work out, are they going to, kind of thing.
Well, I don't know if she was, I think more she represented Bruce's normalcy.
Yeah.
She more was the tether that keeps him there, which is why her final little speech to Bruce, their final little moment at the end, where, as you've already alluded to earlier, that Batman is his real face.
Yeah.
I think that was a great moment to, for her to say. She even says, the Bruce that I knew never returned.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah. And I loved that aspect because it again goes into that Nolan, and I'm jumping into the whole trilogy here, but it is mentioned in this one that he is more of a symbol than anything.
Yep.
Like it's
anybody could step into that role given the right circumstances and right will.
Yeah. And so that's what she's saying, is that you've embodied this now symbol and you're no longer the man that you were.
All right, we'll be right back.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and listen to an 80s Flick Flashback podcast once in a while, you could miss it. Do you love movies of a certain age? Do you miss the days of VHS tapes, VCRs, and the video rental stores? Does the thought of another 80s movie being remade seem inconceivable? My name is Tim Williams. I'm the creator and host of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. On each episode, I'm joined by guest co-hosts to discuss one of the many movies released in the 1980s. We share our first-time watch memories, our favorite scenes, and even learn some behind-the-scenes stories about the cast and crew along the way. New episodes are released every other Friday on your favorite podcasting platform. So make like a tree, get out of here, and go listen to an excellent episode of the 80s Flick Flashback podcast. The ad is over. Go home. Go.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this. I joked about it at the open of the show. Superhero origins had really developed by this point, and we always get the death of the Waynes and we get the origin, but this origin stretches itself out to the point that we do not see Batman until over an hour into the movie. You know, I go back to the original Superman, the granddaddy of them all, Superman 78. We don't see Superman until about 45 minutes into the movie. Do you think that the delay in us seeing Batman versus Batman 89, where we see him in the opening, scenes, do you think that the delay in seeing Bruce become Batman, did it work? Do you think that modern superhero movies rush that origin, transformation, whatever you want to call it, too much? Do you think this movie did it too slow? Like, what's your thought about that?
Having read the comics, I appreciate the adherence to that particular part of his origin story. I will also say, if you step, 30,000 foot view here, Christopher Nolan probably has no shortage of confidence. He knows what he's going to do. There's going to be 2 other movies for Batman to be on screen. Mm-hmm. He set this up specifically to help us see, again, why Bruce is the way that he is, how he has become the vigilante that he is going to be. And he takes his time to do that because he's a great storyteller and because he knows I'm going to have plenty of more screen time for Batman later on down the line. This is not a one-off deal here. I'm going to have time to show him later. So let's make sure we get this start right.
I agree with you. I think, going back to Laramy's question, I think it still followed what had come before it in the sense of origins. Superman, Spider-Man being the 2 that I think of the most, that like where it's a true origin story, seeing more of Peter Parker, more of Clark Kent, more of Bruce Wayne before the superhero. I think they've rushed it now because they feel like audiences want to they want to see the superhero, so we don't need this long backstory. For some it works, for some it doesn't. Like, I don't mind that we got introduced to the new Spider-Man in Civil War, yeah. It wasn't Infinity War. Civil War, without having to see the full backstory because we know his origin. Like, we've seen it enough.
Yeah, but we know Batman's. That's what I always talk about. Like, we know Batman's origin.
Right. But once again, the most recent The Batman that came out was not an origin story. So they've kind of picked up on, well, we don't need to see an origin again. So let's skip that. So I think it just depends on the story that you want to tell with this. So like Blake says, Nolan knew I've got a 3-act story that I want to tell. So I'm not going to rush. And I would say the same thing with Donner in Superman. He already had 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are supposed to be the one, massive movie. Didn't happen that way, but he wasn't in a rush to get to Superman because he knew in part 2 there was going to be plenty of that. He needed to establish who Clark Kent was. So yeah, I think once again it goes back to whatever story the director, writers are wanting to tell is how it's going to fit. And this one, it definitely made sense because, yeah, so there's parts of me that like I want to jump right into The Dark Knight because I enjoy it so much, but you don't have The Dark Knight can't be what it is if you don't have the setup of what you got in Batman Begins. It doesn't carry the same weight if you don't know who Bruce Wayne is and what he's already faced and accomplished up to that point.
So let me ask you, Blake, since obviously Year One is a huge inspiration for this.
Great comic book, terrible animated movie, just to put that out there.
But do you think that we needed more of watching Bruce be Batman and fail at being Batman a few times? Because he comes in and he's a master at it pretty much right off the bat.
He's got a couple of times where there's some faux pas and some screw-ups, so to speak. But yeah, for the most part, he does come into it. But I think, or again, we're going a little suspension of disbelief. He has trained for the majority of his adult life for these moments. And he's not someone who, the phrase is practice makes perfect. Well, that's not true. Practice makes permanent. He has practiced it correctly over and over and over again. So it is muscle memory. So the amount of failures are going to be fewer than if, you or I decided we're going to be Batman and we train for 6 months and then, go out there and try and fight crime. So I'm okay with the lack of mishaps and mess ups because of the fact that this guy has devoted the entirety of his adult life to being who he is going to become.
Well, then I'll ask both of y'all this. What are your thoughts on maybe the convenience of him being able to become Batman? So when I say that, we're talking about in the League of Shadows, we're introduced to the little gauntlets that have the spikes on them, which you just go, so they just happen to have these that look like what Batman will eventually wear. And then when he goes to Lucius just happens to have everything he needs in some way, shape, or form. Like, what does Wayne Enterprises do?
Everything.
That he would have
right.
every single one of these objects, and they would be exactly... Even the cave being underneath Wayne Manor, and there being access to it because his grandfather was part of the Underground Railroad. Do you think that maybe they should have fleshed that out more, and that maybe that was just a little too convenient?
I'm going to harken back to one of my favorite rom-coms starring John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale. Serendipity, Laramy, is what that is. Didn't know where I was going with that, did you?
I did not.
Who would have thought you were going to pull out the movie Serendipity?
One of my favorite movies of all time. Anyway,
I saw it in theaters.
It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, just watched it a couple of weeks ago.
Probably a few times a year I put that on. But anyways,
I saw it in theaters.
Yeah, I hear you. What is that? 1998? Is that when?
I was say that was it. I saw it the once.
Oh man,
I have it on DVD. I watch it, like I said, a few times.
I know there's something about a book. That's what I remember.
So good. Love in the Time of Cholera is the book you're referring to. But no, I think again, so many of the Earth's the historical, so much of history happens because of coincidence. Now, this is a lot of coincidence. I'll give you that he just happens to have all this. But so many things that happen in our lives are just pure coincidence. And so I think a lot of this has to be like, okay, a lot of this lines up because of who he is. He has got a lot of privilege. He's got a lot of access to a lot of stuff, and that helps in his endeavor. But also there's just an amalgamation of coincidences that occur that allow him to become Batman.
Yeah, I also say I think but yes, they have all that stuff, but it's not exactly
he tailors
what
it.
he needs. Yeah, it's like he's still piecing things together that the materials work for what he's trying to become. To your point, Laramy, I would have liked to have seen like maybe one suit that was like, we got to fix this. And I think they talked about, he was talking about the Kevlar or whatever. Yeah, like we have that one scene.
Well, they have the helmet.
The helmet, yeah. So maybe that, but I do like that it's, once again, grounded in reality. Like these are things that people actually, it was a development. What was the department?
R&D, research and development.
Research and development. So it's not stuff that we're going to see like out on the streets, out in the market, but it's not like he, I'm going to be a bat. And then to the next scene, he's in a full suit that's like tailored to his, his full body or whatever. So like him having to piece those things together. And of course the Tumbler being the most iconic of it, like, who would have thought that was going to be the Batmobile? But but I love that. Does it come in black?
See, even that he had to tailor it to what he needed. He had to get it in black.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to go a little as a teacher and someone who used to teach a film studies class. I'm going to go to a little bit of a trope from literature and film.
Okay.
Is Lucius Fox? And this is the actual phrase here. I'm not sure. Is he the magical Negro?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
as far as tropes go, and you are correct, that is the actual name of that particular trope.
Yes.
But again, I don't know. The characters are so well done, and like I said, his backstory of the relationship with Thomas Wayne, like of course he's gonna like help Bruce however he needs to help, and who better to help than Morgan Freeman? Had he played God at this point in time in Bruce Almighty? Yeah, he'd already.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
Bruce Almighty
who better to have helping you? You know.
Yeah, I think that was my biggest problem, is that it was just a little too convenient in a lot of this. It was hey, look, we've got.
But is that who Lucius was in the comics?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say, so
yeah.
They stuck true to that.
Okay, yeah. So then it's not, is it the movie's fault, or is it the writer of the comics' fault?
What a question.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the answer to that is yes.
The egg.
Just because again, the trope itself,
right,
is something that definitely needs to evolve.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest issue I have with it, is that when you've got someone like Morgan Freeman, he can still play that part. I just wish he was a little bit more involved.
Yeah, you're
which he does become later in the trilogy.
Yeah. Right.
I guess you're looking at it for more of like he's beck and call to Bruce Wayne at all times.
Yes.
As opposed to being his own person. And again, he gets to that point later on in the trilogy.
Yes.
And I can certainly understand and agree with where you're coming from as far as that particular trope goes, and how he's utilized in this first movie.
What did you think of the use of pretty much I would call him a lower tier villain in the Scarecrow, being Christopher Nolan's choice?
I think it's a great first villain to have. It's someone who hasn't been utilized in much of the live action media, if any of the live action media.
Any of the live action, yeah.
And to have him be this sort of ancillary villain who, again, is still somewhat, to a degree, grounded in reality and realistic principles of how he goes about conducting his business. I think it's a great role to have in the movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he fits the story like he was necessary for the story. So I applaud that, in the sense he wasn't just, let's have this known character just do anything, just to be in the movie, but he did have it made sense why he was there.
Yeah, pretty integral part in the plan.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think the tie-in to Fear.
Yes.
Because even when they do expose the fear toxin in the Narrows, and then there's that whole group of people who see Batman.
Oh yeah,
that helps with the origin of Batman.
Yeah.
That makes him into this urban legend, this myth. Because that's everybody's going to be talking about that they saw this creature or this, to use the phrase man bat. It helps to what that symbol that Batman would be, and that the fear that Batman would put into the villains that we already slowly started seeing. I mean, we more saw it in the cops where they were like, I ain't going in there.
Right.
The Batman's in there. I'm not going in there. So I do think the Scarecrow was a good pick to help again with that character development, with that character study that we had there. The only thing I did not like was going back to a James Bond kind of reference here, is Crane just showing Rachel the whole plan.
Yeah. That, for some reason, that really bothered me today when I was rewatching it. I was like, this is the most idiotic part, but the most tropey part for me of the movie was let's take this completely innocent person and show them our whole plan, and then drug her and leave her there to die. You've basically given her the damsel in distress that Batman's got to come and save. You don't even use her as bait. It's not even as genius as you are, this is the dumbest plan you could come up with at this point.
I think that's where, to play devil's advocate here, everybody, that's where hubris comes into play. He is so, and I think that's the trope, is the villain is always so certain of themselves that I'm going to reveal this. You can't stop it, regardless. And I think at that point in time in the film, that probably plays to Crane's character. He thinks he's got the leg up on everybody. That no matter what happens, he's got plan A, B, and C covered. And so I think, again, trying to help explain why, I think that the hubris alone would be the reason why he's just like, I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing.
What'd you think about, kind of coming to a close here? What'd you think about the setup at the end with now Gordon is lieutenant and they've got the bat signal, which I'm sorry, even on my, 65-inch television, watching it in 4K Blu-ray, when he puts Carmine on that spotlight and they look up in the sky, that doesn't look like anything.
That's a Rorschach test, Laramy. You see what you want.
But anyway, going back to the end, and then he's, of course, we've got all these villains that have been released, which we're to assume that includes, a rogues gallery. Yeah. What'd you think about? I just thought about this. What'd you think about the quick little getting Zaz?
Yeah, I was going to say the Victor Zaz clip there. Yeah, that's a super cool nod to like the people who are fans of the comic book source material. To have those little Easter eggs that Nolan is so good at making sure that he does some fan service. He makes sure that people have what they want out of those. So that was.
Do you know what we're talking about, Tim?
Nope.
So when all of the inmates at Arkham get released, there's one inmate that you see, he comes out, he's bald, and he turns, and if you notice, he's got a whole bunch of little tick marks,
scars
carved into his neck. They're scars. That's a nod to he's supposed to be Victor Zaz from the comics. Which every person he kills, he puts a mark. Yeah. And he uses a knife, which we then see we see him with later. But what did you think about the setup at the end of, all right, Batman's established, we've got the bat signal, which I still don't know how Gordon gets the authority to do that when clearly the mayor and probably even the chief are still corrupt. And
probably out of a special funds account. They took the party money and got a bat signal made.
Yeah, and then of course the setup for the Joker. So what were your thoughts? Like when going back to when you originally saw this movie, like what were your thoughts before we knew anything about the sequel?
I was like, can we just pick it up right after the credits of this one? Can we just start the next one? Yeah, it's a great end to that particular chapter of Batman, along with a great set, just a small, like here's this card. Like that's it. No, like the Joker's coming. They've already named him or all this stuff. Like it's just this card, and then we're off and running in the Dark Knight in a couple of years.
I think for me, I was a little disappointed because here we had gotten this first Batman Begins with new villains that I had not been exposed to in a Batman movie, and then you're going to jump right into the Joker, which I'd already seen, and at that point, no one was ever going to be better than Jack Nicholson as the Joker. I would be proven wrong, as we know now. But yeah, it didn't excite me like I think it probably should have. It was just like, oh, we're going to see the Joker again. Okay, we'll see what they do with that. But it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the movie as a whole. Even watching it now, I'm like, I don't think it was necessary. Like, I think it could have ended it without that little piece at the end, and we would have been fine.
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you, Tim. When I originally saw that, it did feel more like they didn't have to just. Of course, it's the Joker. Right. I agree with that one. We didn't necessarily need that, but man, did we get the Joker in the next movie? Yeah. So. But let's go ahead and wrap this one up on Batman Begins. Let's get into it. Final decision: bag it, stack it, or trade it. Tim, I'll let you go first on this one.
How could we do anything besides bag it?
Trade it. I know.
No. What's wrong with you? No. Yeah, I'm bagging this one for sure. I mean, it's the beginning of one of the greatest trilogies on film. I will say. From one of the most masterful directors.
Peter Jackson.
Yeah. I didn't say it was the best. It was one of the best. So, Lucas and Peter Jackson can suck it. A great director bringing his spin to a familiar character. And I think, we're going to talk about it. You'll bring me back for the Dark Knight. We can talk about it more, but I think Katie Holmes was better as Rachel. I'm not a fan of Gyllenhaal. Anyway, But yeah, a great cast.
I don't think either of them's good. So
Yeah, you're not going to make any enemies with that statement.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's
you're
like,
fine.
yeah,
You're fine.
yeah. Not that she was the best. I just didn't think she was better.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I'm bagging it. It's the beginning of a great trilogy. It's a great origin story. Great director, great performances, great cast. We've covered all the reasons why it's bag worthy. No need to repeat myself.
Yeah, as far as great trilogies go, this will probably fall to second after the third Meg movie comes out. But other than that, it's just a fantastic film. I've already bagged.
If only Sharknado had ended at 3.
If only it ended at 3. They jumped the shark.
I'm still waiting for the third Happy Death Day movie.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, okay. Now,
I'm still waiting for the third National Treasure. Come on.
Aren't we all, though? Aren't we all? Yeah, I've already bagged this, sent it off for grading, got it back. It's a Gem Mint 10. I'm keeping it up on the shelf. This is one, along with the other 2 movies from this trilogy, that I return to often as like comfort movies. Like I can put this on, and it's like sinking into a warm bath. Like I know what I'm getting. It's going to be enjoyable, and it's going to be something that every time I watch it, I still pick up something different. I take something different away from it. So bag it, keep it, put it on the shelf, let everybody come over and see it and check it out. Excellent movie.
Yeah, no, it's a bag it for me. And I honestly, I think it's because this was the first Batman movie that actually understood Batman.
Yeah.
It didn't rush to the costume. I probably could have done a little bit more, but it doesn't rush into the trauma either. Which that would come a little bit later. I think that's probably some of the negativity to the Batman. I like that this movie, the story, I should say, that Nolan tells is about choice. Mm-hmm. You know, the choices that Bruce makes, the choice of either letting fear get to you or confronting the fear that Bruce doesn't, and even though Ra's al Ghul lends himself to some of this, Bruce doesn't become Batman because he's angry. He becomes Batman because he decides that if he uses fear, his own fear outward, he can use that to protect others, to help others. And the great thing about Batman as a character, and it's the whole argument between Batman versus Superman, what makes Batman such a great character is that he isn't invincible. That he does fail, he does have to learn, he does have to just keep going, and that is both as Batman and as Bruce Wayne. Which we didn't talk about this. Let's take a quick moment to talk about this. What do you think about them actually destroying Wayne Manor in this movie?
Burn that thing to the ground.
Right.
Yes, there was nothing
left of it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you talk about convenience. Well, this is something that's obviously very inconvenient, but it allows for a serendipitous moment where now he can build out better entrances to the cave. He can build out better access to all his gadgets. And so I think it's a great way to take away some of the convenience you were talking about and having action have to occur in order for him to make things happen that he wants to happen.
Yeah.
Although I can't help but think all those construction workers and whatnot that were working there at the end of the movie. It's like, how did they not find the cave?
He's like, I need an elevator underground.
Right. Don't ask where it goes.
Yeah, just
I know you'll never see it.
No, I do like when they just the quick little scene talking about the helmet, how he explains we'll buy this piece from Singapore and then we'll buy this piece and then we'll have to assemble it together ourselves.
They probably had just like blind construction workers working there. I think that's a great solution to the problem.
Well, he's got money. He'll pay them off.
Yeah, probably.
They signed an NDA.
Or knock them out and bury them somewhere. You know, just...
He's still got some of that blue
the flower.
Power.
Yeah. You're going to spend the next 20 years in an Asian prison fighting for your life.
But, so again, it's a bag it for me. I like the way this portrays Batman and kind of like what you just said. Like, he's not the solution. He's just a response to what is happening in Gotham. To throw out a recommendation, you know, I've mentioned Batman Year One, so I'll just throw that one out again. I think it's a great, you know, pairing to this to see what it was like for Bruce to be Batman for the first part of that, and how he comes in again to affect change in Gotham, and tell you somebody who knew how to write Batman, in my opinion, was Frank Miller. So yeah, Batman Year One for me. Blake, you got anything you want to throw out there?
This one's a little, I guess, adjacent, ancillary kind of. Play the Batman Arkham series, the video games, if you enjoyed this, because the Arkham series, especially the first one to me, there is a lot of like grittiness to that, and there is some grounding, not as much as the movie. But I remember the video game coming out, and it was almost the same feeling as watching this movie for me. So I would recommend doing a little gaming.
Sounds good. Tim, you got anything?
Yeah, so I went back. So I think the other movie you were thinking of for Christopher Nolan was called Following.
Ah, that's it. Yes, Tim,
yeah,
Following.
So
Yep.
That was the one before Memento,
Yep.
then Insomnia, then Batman Begins. Yeah, I'm gonna pair this with another Nolan movie. If you've never seen Memento, I think you should watch Memento. It is a little different, but it does kind of show you, the essence of Nolan's style and telling stories from a different perspective that you've never really seen before, which I think, and thinking about it now, it's like I would love to watch Memento and then go right into the trilogy and just kind of like with that same kind of like, framework in my mind of that kind of, off-kilter storytelling and see if it changes somewhat of my perspective of watching this trilogy.
Good call.
You ever tried to watch Memento in chronological order?
Oh, no, don't do that.
I have not. Why would I want to do that?
Don't do that.
Defeats the purpose, man.
All right. Well, before we close things up, now we're here in the beginning of 2026, right here in the middle of January. So, Tim, what could people expect from the 80s Flick Flashback?
So 2025 was such a fun year. I say that with all sarcasm, intentional. I decided to kick off January of 2026 with comedies, and not just any comedies, like the best comedies of the 80s. So we kicked off January with Airplane, the Zucker Brothers classic Airplane, and then we just covered Naked Gun, which of course just follows suit of just taking to the next level. And then we're going to actually get 3 episodes in January. So we're going to close out the month of January with a franchise I have yet to cover now in my going on 6th year of the podcast. We're going to watch the first Police Academy and talk about Police Academy.
Wow.
So,
Yes.
I just wanted to laugh through January, just start the year off right, enjoying some good, silly, goofball, zany laughter. So yeah, come join us.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you, Tim, and thank you, Blake, for joining me on this discussion of Batman Begins.
Thanks for having us.
Let's do it again.
And just to close things out, so Batman Begins reminds us that Batman isn't all about gadgets or villains or even Gotham City. He's about choice. The choice to confront fear instead of letting it define you. So for today, for Moving Panels, I'm Laramy Wells, and I'll see you on the other side of the page. On this episode of Moving Panels, we discuss Batman Begins. You like that?
Not a big fan of prologues, huh? There. You don't like a good setup.
Do you think removing... Ooh, gotta clear my throat and do that one again.
He's getting his Batman voice ready.
Yeah.
Where are the drugs?